Hello everyone, this is the Steven Inks and welcome to another video. We will be talking about a pen today, one that you all have been asking me to review for a while, and now that I've looked at it, I can see why. Today is the Pilot Parallel. And beyond the weird looking cap, there's a lot going on with this pen. It's a calligraphy pen with a very unusual nib, and it can be used to create calligraphic font, if that is the correct term. Maybe it's not, I don't know. I don't do calligraphy. I like to make art on this channel. So what is this kind of a pen gonna do for me as an artist? Was it worth looking into? If you're an artist, would you be interested in a pen like this? We're gonna find out by having a look at it, drawing with it, talking about it. Let's get started. Here is what the pen looks like. Weird cap. I'm gonna just deal with that out the gate. It's got a little wavy kind of pattern to it. This is definitely something that will start conversations if you pull it out in just a random place. It doesn't look like a traditional pen to me. You also have that brush end kind of style to it. Not my favorite. Some people really like it. It is useful, and you can hold further back to run your pen kind of like a brush. Opening up the pen, of course, you're going to see that this is not like other fountain pens either. Not like those other fountain pens, you know? This is the nib. And if you can see kind of up close here that the nib is kind of made of, let's see if I can get it to focus. All right, made of two sort of pieces of metal that that are stuck together by this sort of bracket right here, and the ink flows through them. You can actually see a little bit of a hole between the two, if that's, we'll get a little zoom in for you on that. This is the 3.8, I'm assuming millimeter, size nib. They do make bigger ones than this, but this is what was available when I found it at a real art supply store. Fun times. It says Pilot Parallel pen on the back. If you open it up, oh, by the way, the nib, the cap, of course, you probably guessed this already, it does not post, so you are stuck with this very kind of simple pen. Cap does have a roll stop in that odd-shaped little wave thing, so it won't go anywhere, but it won't go on the back of your pen either. All right, looking inside, it's very simple. The body is just this. Cheap plastic, kind of what you'd expect. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, you can very easily take the feed out of the section. Section is clear plastic. It does look kind of on the cheap side. This is not an expensive pen, so not surprised that the nib is kind of cheap. I'm not sure how committed I want to be to fully pulling this pen apart. It's got a little bit of give here, but I don't think it's designed to be pulled apart, and I'm afraid that if I ruin it, then that's the end of this video. So we're gonna leave that. But you could clean out the grooves in this if you use an ink that you should not use in a pen like this. I'm assuming sparkling and sheening inks might not be great in a pen like this. I have not used them. I don't like those kinds of inks, so there might be somebody else who could tell you about that. But I also wanted to talk about the converter situation. Now, this pen does not come with a converter. You should note that even though a converter like the Con 70 will obviously fit on the contact points of the pen, the body is too thick to hold it, and so that's why it requires either the Con 40 or a Pilot cartridge. And I did find a Pilot cartridge. I can't tell what color it is. I think it's black, but it might actually be something else, like a blue or something. We'll find out. I want you to appreciate me because I found this Pilot cartridge. I scoured all of my art supplies to find it. I don't normally keep cartridges, and I've expressed my disdain for Pilot converters. But what I would actually do is get this eyedropper kind of set from my Mahjong A1, which is the same size as the Pilot because it's basically a Pilot vanishing point, the Mahjong A1, and I would put something like this in here. But I wanted to explain the experience of having the pen that you buy rather than the pen that I would make. But I would put that right there, put some ink inside it, good to go. Let's use the Pilot cartridge though instead. And a Con 40 would also fit in there if you would prefer that. All right, so we pierce the cartridge. The ink's gonna flow into there. Might take a little while before we get something flowing out of it. So let's go and come over to the drawing board. Okay, it's time for test lines. Actually, the cartridge didn't take very long for the ink to come down. It took about a minute or two, and gravity did its thing. I didn't really do very much with it. But this is the Pilot Parallel. And this is, again, 3.8, I'm assuming, millimeters. If that looks right to you, if you're from a country that's not the United States where you use the other measuring system that makes more sense. Is that 3.8 millimeters to you? I don't know. I am from the measuring system country where it doesn't make sense, and so I can't use a system that makes sense. It's too easy. So let's see what we get here. If I do what I'm assuming that this line is supposed to do is a straight up and down, right? So what does that give us? Oh, there we go. Took a little while to get there. If I go fast, I get sort of that dry brush effect, so I'm going to need to go slower. Okay, and that's really cool. If I do it at an angle, I could get a thinner line. If I do it at a straight angle this way, that's just using the corner of this thing. That's a pretty decently thin line. I don't think that people are, wow, wait, okay. Whoa, those are really thin lines. Of course, if you want thin lines, get a pen that does thin lines. I think what you want is something like this. So the other thing is like, well, if I do, okay, I could get a slightly thicker line by just tilting it. So I'm thinking you're gonna want lines like this if you are looking at something like a Pilot Parallel. I'm gonna move this over here a little bit. So you can get, like with this at an angle, that's a fun, expressive line that I think I could definitely do some fun stuff with. Almost like a Fude nib. It does feel natural compared to, like I did a video about Architect nibs, I think it was last year. And I found those were kind of unnatural for drawing, but they did feel really good for writing. And this has got a lot of fun stuff that you can do with it. So these are going to be some really dark, really inky kind of drawings you'll get with this. It's not my normal style, so we'll see what I end up coming up with to do with this. I need something with lots of cool shadows. I'm having fun with that. Let's do the shapes. So I'm going to try and do a square here, changing my angle so that I can get a thin outline. I like this actually. This interesting thing that I'm noticing right now is that when you put this down on the paper at a specific angle, it kind of just wants to go in that direction. So I think I've discovered a cheat for making straight lines. That was easy. Curious what it would do with more organic shapes like a circle. See that line right there? I didn't put the angle right and it just went off in that direction. That's where it wanted to go. So interesting. But you can still make it do what you want it to do. One thing that's going to be an interesting question about this is, how do we do midtones? I guess it would just be some hatching. I'm going to use my cheat. Anyway, these are some messy, inky lines, and I'm here for it. I like this. So I can see already that this is changing the way that I draw. So that, for better or for worse, that is what we're getting out of this. We're going to try the circle next. Oh, that's a terrible circle. Like and subscribe for the worst circle you've ever seen. Yeah, already I'm seeing that I'm going to need to find some interesting inky shapes to go along with whatever I'm drawing here, because my traditional like make lines not war approach is not going to work here. So I actually think that this needs to be, that would be a cool way to emphasize some shadow shapes if you were to just I'm seeing fun here, but I'm also seeing potential that looks so cool. I'm seeing potential issues if you are used to doing things a certain way. Is going to come along and wreck your method, and maybe that's what you need. You know, it's January, it's a new year. Maybe you need something to wreck your method in a new year. I'm not sure that I do, because this is challenging, but it's fun. I am having a good time, and that's important. That's as important part of a drawing as getting it technically correct. I think in some ways that's even more important, that you're having a good time, because if you have a good time doing something, then you'll keep doing it. If you're not having a good time, then what are you even doing with your life? Go play video games or watch TV. It's okay. You can still watch these videos. I won't tell nobody. All right, so there we go. That's okay. So this one I was trying to do my regular thing, and this one I was playing around with it, and what I got here is more fun, more interesting. I'm gonna check. Okay, this is a drawing from a previous video on the back of this paper, but the bleed through is not bad, actually. I thought it would bleed all the way through, and the ink is still wet up here, so so that you're aware. Sorry for making an obscene gesture on that's my index finger. That was not on purpose. So before we go into it, let's get some art advice. As a like the drawing with the corner thing where I get this line right here, that's actually not bad. This is what I'm going to tell you. Look at your drawings. Actually, look at your bad drawings. Look at your bad drawings after you're finished. So when you draw something and it doesn't turn out the way you want, the way that you stop yourself from making a bad drawing again is to look at it and to figure out what you need to do differently next time. So like, oh, the perspective was off. Or in this case, I look at this box that I didn't like how that turned out and say, the hatch thing doesn't really work well with this pen. do weird shadow blobby shapes. There we go. Don't commit to straight lines necessarily. Be more expressive. I'm learning that from this pen as I look at what I did that I didn't appreciate. So you can do that with your drawings too. Look at things like perspective, line, shape, outline. What does the outline look like? Is it something that's readable? Things like that. So looking at your drawings and studying them and taking notes on them is a way that you can constantly improve, where doing a bad drawing isn't a bad thing because it's your gateway to better drawing in the future. All right, let's draw with this pen. I have no idea what I'm going to draw because this is going to test my limits, but it's going to be fun. So with this drawing, this is going to be actually one of the longest drawing videos on this channel so far because I spent so much time in the pencils creating it, but I really like the vibe of watching it at this speed rather than speeding everything up even more and then you miss all the little things that I did. If you could tell, I'm kind of proud of what this ended up being. So I didn't know what I was going to draw here, but I knew that it was going to need a lot of darks and it was going to need a lot of room for expressive lines, but I wanted to also kind of test the ability of this thing to do some precision. So yeah, putting a lot of dark ink lines down, but also can it tighten those lines up when possible? So I wanted really tight pencils for this, and not really knowing what it was that I wanted to draw, I actually entered I searched for a random art prompt, and the one that I got from a prompt generator was an underwater shipwreck scene. So, why you gotta come at me like that, art prompt generator? Definitely way outside my wheelhouse, but I had fun with it, and I had lots of time. This was kind of my last weekend before returning to school for the new school year, so I really took my time with it. I think I spent probably 4 hours total on this entire drawing, and I hope it shows. I actually went over my initial pencil lines and just tried to make everything really clean and tight, so when I came in with the inks, I would kind of feel what needed to go where. And that kind of led me to have what I have today. I do highly recommend, when it comes to your work, your drawings, that you find some way to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. And if you're really committed to making something that turns out great while you're outside your comfort zone, you just need to take some more time to do it. I played around with a few compositions as well, but then I thought this idea of a diver in an old school diving suit that has a flashlight or a lamp down with there will give me a chance for some really high contrast shadows, which is perfect for the parallel. You're going to see me start to use that pen really quickly in maybe the next 20-25 seconds or so, but knowing fully what I wanted to put down allowed me to be expressive within a certain amount of control, which, as you know, is probably, as you probably know by now, that's kind of my MO. I need to have control over everything. So I started with some of these lines, and I didn't venture too far from my regular style until a bit later when I started feeling a little more free and loose with it. So I'm happy to say that the parallel really held up, and it didn't really create any problems with those kind of precise lines that I wanted. It sort of kept up with me. It was a nice sort of juicy writer that was that put down lines where I wanted it to, and I felt comfortable doing it, even though it's not being used the way that it's supposed to be used, like with it being on the corner like that. It still felt like I was holding a fountain pen. It didn't feel like I was scratching relief into a piece of wood or something like that. So in that sense, there's definitely a huge advantage. Like, it was really good. I did do these kind of fine lines for quite some time before venturing into the dark pieces, but you're going to start seeing some of those dark lines really soon. Yeah, this was super fun to do. I had a great time with it. I'm gonna just kind of let you enjoy the rest of this drawing here, because I don't have much else that I need to say. I hope you also enjoy my drawing of an underwater shipwreck scene with lots of dark and juicy inks. Okay, so I gotta tell you guys something kind of crazy. First of all, I'm really proud of this drawing that I did. I kind of don't care if you don't like it, because I like it, and I think I did a lot of work on it, and turned out pretty cool. The thing about this pen is, of course, like, obviously I used a bunch of ink. This is the first time this has ever happened. I actually used, from start to finish, I didn't do any testing in between. I used, I don't know if this will be very obvious on the camera, but I used an entire cartridge of ink. This cartridge is pretty much empty. You can see it comes down to the edge here. There's like a little bit at the bottom, but this is an entire ink cartridge with this pen. Didn't bleed through either, by the way. If you can see, this is the back side of this pen. It definitely buckled in a lot of places. It's kind of what I expected. This is cheap paper, but crazy cool. If you're trying to get rid of a bottle of ink, grab one of these pens, I guess. Final thoughts. This is so fun. The only thing that would hold me back from recommending a pen like this would be that you'd basically be drawing in two different styles. If you use a traditional pen, like say this Lamy 2000, which has a just a regular old nib. I'm not gonna bother with that being in focus. then you're going to be drawing in one style with that pen, and then when you take this one out, you'll be drawing in a completely different style, almost like a brushed ink style, or really there's not a lot of room for precision with the lines, but there is room for really fun, really expressive lines. I recommend you pick one of these up if you're looking for a change in the year with your style. If you are committed to a certain style of art, this might be a frustrating experience for you. Personally, I really enjoy it. I'm not sure how often I'll be pulling it out because of the fact that it really changes up my style a lot. But right now, I just want to play with this pen. I just want to draw things and make big lines and big swashes of ink. So I have a feeling that the cartridge that's in this pen is going to be used up pretty quickly. That's all that I have for this video. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing. Leave a comment down below. Do you own one of these pens? Is there a particular size of nib that you find to be really fun to work with? Something you could recommend for me? Also, please check out on my website, my book, What Kind of Pen Is That? Is available for a free download at steveninks.com. And looking forward to sharing another video with you soon. Be well and have a great day.